everyone. Welcome to Juana TV, a podcast exploring community through culture and cannabis. If you're not familiar with the brand, you can visit our official site, which we'll drop in the chat. And you can explore our blog, shop our merch, and view previous episodes of our podcast. Today's live recording is sponsored by JP Marie Pro, helping us bring stories to life in this virtual space. And today's guests are a dream cannabis couple duo. If you're a friend of the show, you know I talk about Clubhouse on here all the time. And I actually met Tahmika in one of the cannabis rooms on there. They're the most chill, informative, tranquil rooms. But nonetheless, I love her story and her vibe. So I started following their brand. And the couple saw a little bit about their story. They saw an opportunity to enter the industry in 2019 and started their brand Reset Wellness, which is a cannabis consulting and wellness brand based in Washington, D.C. And since then, they've been on a mission to build community, resilience, and well-being by redefining and reshaping the perception of the consumption of cannabis. They currently serve on the advisory board for Marijuana Matters, a nonprofit organization helping those adversely affected by the criminalization of marijuana. And their mantra, you guys, is live well your way. And basically that's just me. When I read that, I was like, okay, these are my kind of people. So without further ado, I introduce to you guys Jason and Tahmika Aldrich.
Hi. Thank you.
Are-
Thank you for having us.
Of course. Thank you guys for making time to join our podcast. How has everything been for you guys in these past few weeks? How's the new year? Today's the new moon in Aquarius. So much is happening in the cosmos, in the world. What is going on with Tahmika and Jason?
It has been a whirlwind for us. We got a lot going on with the two brands. We're distance learning with two little ones in elementary school. We're stuck in the house because I don't play around with this virus. So we're in here trying to, not kill each other. Survive to, fight another day.
We're both still alive.
We
Somehow,
made it through 2020.
Y'all
So
both still alive and
yes,
smiling.
yes.
Oh, yes, I love to hear it. So, out the gate, I have to ask, I married my weed man. Please tell me about that story. From the conception to when you said, you know what, we can make our story a thing. Can you please just give us that story?
It really was birthed very, very organically. It's true. I married my weed man
allegedly.
allegedly
Allegedly.
in real life, allegedly. And it was something that I always had like kind of in the back of my mind when people would ask us. And in my mind, I would say that before I make up whatever story we would make up in the moment, because that question would always catch us so off guard, and it's like,
Mhm.
so one day somebody asked us and I just looked at him and was like, can we just tell the truth? And he was like, yes, like fine, just go, And the person that we ended up saying it to, and the people that we said it in front of, everybody's mouth just fell open. And we kind of gave them a background, it's like I said, it happened organically. I was uptown, DC, with a girlfriend of mine, and we needed some flour. And my person didn't answer, her person answered. And yeah, so he came over and we've literally been together ever since. It's been 19 years now, so we've been together for 19 years, and it'll be 9 years of marriage on May 12th of this year. um so when I got on Clubhouse, I dropped it in my bio because as of late, I had been thinking, let's just do like a little ebook about our really not really focusing on the love story part, but I was just going to call it that, but really just talking about like our journey into cannabis and into this CBD space and this hemp space. And so I threw it in my bio my Clubhouse bio, and I was in a cannabis room, Hazy and Black Cannabis Magazine and Mall of Bouquet rolling papers were like, hey, there's a girl in here named Tahmika and she married her weed man. And I need you to come up to the stage and say, and you got to explain that to us. And next thing I know, it became a thing, right? And we still don't know what that thing is, but people have been reaching out to us. And so I just was like, well, let's just start hosting these rooms on Wednesdays, different topics based on what people have asked us over the years, and just kind of really integrating our personal story, because I didn't realize that's a 3-year-old I told you might make a cameo.
That's a kid friendly show. Okay. I have a nephew.
So yeah, it just okay. He wants to say hello.
Please come make a cameo.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? Oh my God. And he's adorable and he knows it.
Okay, now mommy and daddy have to work. But yeah, we started hosting these rooms and kind of integrating our personal love story and our personal journey. And now it's just kind of become a thing. And we've been able to really curate these safe spaces, having conversations that I didn't even realize were so needed in the cannabis space when it comes to love and dating and sex, and consent, and all of those things. I've had such a positive experience with my husband and with cannabis that I never thought about the people that experienced the opposite of that until they started, DMing me after these talks. So then I just kind of felt an obligation to, okay, if they're comfortable with me to talk about these things, let's make the space for them to talk about it. So, we're still figuring it out with the brand, with this brand, I Married My Weed Man. But yeah, that's kind of how all this got started.
Well, it's definitely a vibe and it's definitely a thing. And I will say, and one thing that I have found, as I grew up in the church, so a lot of my family still goes to church, and that's my origin. And in the Black community, it's kind of, I guess, taboo to be talking about shunned
Yeah.
and taboo to be talking about cannabis and sex. So the fact that you guys also integrate the fact that you're Christians, it kind of gives you a leg up, at least in that respect, and it makes you an authority figure, if you will, because of course people are doing both of those things, no matter who they are.
And
And
what
so to
they
have
what
someone
they
that's
believe.
exactly. And so to have someone like, hey, I'm a Christian who consumes, and I also want to educate you on your sex life because, and my sister and I were talking about this last week, a lot of us weren't, especially in Christian households, weren't really educated about sexuality and sex. We were just kind of told not to do it or wait until you're married. And you definitely need way more than that. So,
You do.
I'm grateful for you guys' space in that respect.
And that was very important to me, because I had to tell people it's not a fear, right? But there is a reverence that you hold as a preacher's kid, or as someone that grew up in the church. So there was a certain respect that I have for my family, knowing how what church means to them and what God means to them. So all these years I really felt like I was living a double life, and I really felt I couldn't really be free. I couldn't be my authentic self because of the judgment. And especially, so I was telling my husband, when you grow up in the church,
Mhm.
right, when you're little, you're taught the 10 commandments, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, you don't lie, honor your father and your mother, and you don't smoke, you don't drink, you wear skirts, you don't, and you cross your leg, like all these, the debutante programs.
Mhm.
And it really, and the etiquette lessons, and it really makes you put your pastor and the deacons and those elders in the church on a pedestal at that age, right? So as you begin to get older, and you start coming into your own knowledge and seeing, Deacon so and so smoking a cigarette after church, and Sister so and so cussed Sister so and so out. And I'm like, wait, what? It was like, I was devastated because I was the little girl that had her Bible at recess, like, you need to love Jesus with all your heart, So I was really taken aback, and it really had an effect on me, right? To the point that as I got, 17, 18, 19, I was like, I'm over this. Church people are hypocritical and they're this. So what I allowed to happen was folks ran me out of church, but I blamed it on God, because I'm like, God, you make these people, how could you make these people treat me like this, because church hurt is real. And it was like, the more I tried to be myself and to be honest about being real, um I was judged and shunned and called the black sheep, and you can't be in the choir anymore because you smoke weed. It was a lot. So I left church, and I was not connected to a church, for 17 years. And it was really me getting back in cannabis that got me back in church. And this time I said, I want to do it the right way, right? And I connected with this ministry really just to support. Like I was telling you again, my best friend, she had some friends that moved up here, they started a ministry. Of course I'm going to support, not knowing that ministry, Destiny Reachers, was going to change my life. And I finally was like, okay, I told him, I was like, I am really feeling this, but I want to be honest. I don't want to get so involved and then they find out what I do, or, I can't go through that again. Right. But I went to my pastor and told Pastor Battle and my first lady, and they just, open arms. And we talked about it, and I was able to educate them, and they were asking questions. And my first lady had already kind of started doing her own research, because she had had open heart surgery, so she was already looking into holistic ways to heal because she didn't want to be on the pharmaceutical drugs. So it just felt good to finally be able to say, like, yes, I'm a church girl and I smoke cannabis and it is okay. And I have sex with my husband and it is okay. Like, y'all told me to wait until I got married, right? So now I'm shunned if I'm talking about, like, no, we met very, very young. We were 20. I was 22 going on 23 and he was 23. We were young, and now we're 40 and 42, 40.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Black love.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
so we know each other. You know what I mean? We know each other. So we have fun together. We talk about everything. I feel like we've been through it all. The extreme highs where I was just like, this is the love of my life. And I'm just, floating on cloud nine, to we was in divorce court,
last month?
60 days ago. You know what I mean? Like, this is a wrap. I don't want to do this anymore. So, we're still regular couple. We still go through the same things everybody goes through. We've just decided to incorporate cannabis into that.
And talk about it a little bit, because most people go through stuff privately and you don't realize that other people are going through the same thing you're going through.
Exactly.
Yes.
I just left from seeing one of my friends, and I was talking to his wife, and she was just saying that he just got back in the house after 6 weeks of time out, but she had to realize the issues that they're going through are minor when she started talking to her girlfriends and find out what her girlfriends are going through. She said, wait a minute, that's it? That's your only problem? So
right.
I think, as of late, we've been coming to the realization that everybody got problems. It's just a matter of who's doing the work to get through them and get on the other side of it.
Did y'all hear that? That sound clear, because I think that's so beautiful, especially when you add the fact that you all are also business partners, because
it's
24/7, 365. Some days I'm like, what was I thinking? But it works for us. And I tell people all the time, it works for us. What we put out to the public is what works for us. what we are trying to do is be an example of what it could possibly look like in your home if you did certain things. We go to therapy. I am a listen, everybody need therapy. I'm an advocate for that. We go to marriage counseling, because you need that. Even when things are good, you need that check-in from time to time just to make sure. We call it marriage maintenance. That's our marriage maintenance. You check in with your pastor from time to time just to, you know,
If you exercise, if you get your car
yeah,
tuned up, you just
you
tune up your
gotta
marriage.
tune up the marriage too, and just being intentional with stuff like that.
So the key to marrying your weed man, guys, is being intentional.
And, lo- and, lo-
That's what I'm
and
hearing.
lots of cannabis, and lots of cannabis. I think to be honest,
Mhm.
I think the one saving grace we had during the 19 years is cannabis,
Mm,
because it's times, like she said, we know each other well enough to know how long the other person needs time out. You know
mhm,
what I'm saying? So we've gone days without being cordial, or just kind of doing the bare minimum as far as communication.
But we still smoke together at night.
I still, and
it's the ritual. It brings people together.
when I
It's
leave
a
that
ritual.
when I roll something and leave it in the
I know
ashtray,
what that means.
that's it's time to talk.
Offering.
Yeah, that's my
That's
peace
he
offering.
always says that. He's like,
That's
"This
my
is my peace
that's my
offering,"
peace
and I'm
offering.
like, "That's not good
You,
enough." But then
you
I'm
could,
like, "You okay?"
yeah, you could hit your little weed and maybe we'll talk while you're doing something.
I love that. And by the way, guys, if you have any questions while we're talking, please drop them in the chat, or if you want to do it privately, you can drop it in the Q&A, and we'll have them answer them. But I guess I also kind of wanted you guys to go into your cannabis brand. So can you talk about kind of where, because you also have Reset Wellness in addition to the I Marry My Weed Man brand. And you guys have other businesses if I'm not mistaken, but I'll let you take that away.
Yeah, so we
Mhm.
Reset Wellness is a cannabis consulting and wellness brand in DC, and it was really birthed once again organically and kind of out of necessity. My husband had been telling me about CBD for a while before it even kind of was the thing, and I just was like, no, I'm good with my cannabis. I'm not into all that. Like I'm good, but I wasn't. You
And
know.
and the way I discovered it was totally by accident. It was
Mm,
totally by accident. I had a friend of mine who was in the CBD. He gave me a J, and I smoked it. He didn't tell me it was
mhm.
CBD, and I smoked it, and I immediately felt the effects. Like my knees were tingling, my back loosened up a little bit. I could feel my blood circulating better. So I said, what strain is this? And I was like, I need some more of this. He said, it's not a strain, it's CBD. So that was my discovery of it. So I was trying to tell her at night we should smoke CBD. But
And I was like,
go ahead,
this like
yeah.
smoking
Did
a
you do what
cigarette.
your friend did to you? Did you slip it in?
No,
After
because
a while,
so I was like, what is this? So he started telling me about the CBD flower. Then he bought me a topical. I have chronic pain. I was diagnosed with arthritis at 17. It just runs in my family. And he introduced me to the topicals. So I knew it worked, right? But when I ran out, we couldn't find one in the dispensaries or anywhere else that really had the effect of that particular brand. And at the time the owner he had went out of the country, and we like, or we could somewhat some for some reason we couldn't get in touch with him to get more.
Mhm.
So my husband was just like, why don't you try to make it? And I just looked at him crazy like, I am an event planner, like, what are you talking about?
you wasn't event planning with bad knees though.
So he's like, no, I really think you could do it. And so I really just started researching and going on YouTube and found some groups on Facebook. Grabbed a couple of my girlfriends because they are always with my shenanigans. And was like,
The
hey,
good ones
y'all.
always are.
And I was like, hey, Bubba he has this idea. I also thought it was great because during the time of me learning about CBD, I'm starting to learn about the legal market, right? And I'm like, oh, this is a great way to go from legacy to legal. Because we're operating in this gray area in DC with being I-71 compliant. So I just was like, this is it. Like, this is how I can convert
It was it
everything,
was it was it was meant for us to do together.
yeah. So we started making it, and it just started out, making it for myself, and then he let his mom try it, then I let my auntie try it,
And
and
the elders is really what
from
pushed us.
there it just
We know people with
spread.
lifelong pain issues
Yeah.
that were just raving about how the product worked for them.
So we
So
just
we had no choice.
so I think maybe about 30, 45 days later, we realized we had something good. And he was making juice. So we have the relaxed
Mhm.
beverages, which are craft juices that we make from scratch, all natural. Then we have the pain salve, which is our relief bar. We have rejuvenation cream, which is an infused body butter. We have a refresh scrub, which is our body scrub. We have a tincture, and then he makes these amazing brownies. Like, everybody thinks that I'm the brownie, and I'm like, no, it is him.
I was
Like,
just gonna ask who makes the
he
recipe.
does. So I do the topicals, but he does the oil. He gets, he sources the flour, the CBD flour. He makes his, he does his own extraction, all that, and then he infuses whatever, ingredient that I need to make my product. So we're in the kitchen, we're making the products, but then I'm also building the business,
Mhm.
because this wasn't something that we knew we were going to do. So there was no pre-planning. There was no, oh, we already have our LLC business plan. So I'm trying to do this while the brand is just growing, growing, growing. And then when the pandemic hit, it exploded, because now everybody home, everybody need to smoke.
Mhm.
And the great thing about our juices were, at first, it became very, very popular amongst the elders in our city. Like, we love working with our seniors. We are caretakers. We help take care of his parents and my auntie. So we're very involved in elder care. And they love the juice, because they always talk about how they used to smoke their reefer back in the day and they can't smoke anymore. So they were loving the juices. But during the pandemic, we realized a lot of moms, because now they're home, you can't really smoke because the kids are home, but you can drink it. And the juices just blew up, you know. Um, and then along with that, we were educating. People were able to book consultations with us. And before the world got shut down, we would do kind of like an Avon situation or a Mary Kay situation. You get your girlfriends together, we'll come to the house and we'll bring our table. We'll do like a 30-minute info session, Q&A, demo the products where they could actually use them and touch them and sample the juices. And that was starting to become really popular, because we would always give the host, a host gift. And like, once again, it became a thing. And I don't know, now we're in kind of like this rebranding phase. Um, because now we see what direction we want to go in with that brand, with Reset Wellness. So we're in talks with, I mean, it's going really well. And all I know is I'm taking my time,
Mhm.
because we talked a little bit before the show, and I'm learning as I go. So have had some very expensive mistakes, and I would be so hard on myself, and I remember talking to my first lady, because after one hit we took, I was just like, this is going to end us. This is going to end. Like, I can't believe I made this mistake, And she said to me, she said, no, Tahmika, you're not. And I'm like, I gotta start from scratch. And she's like, no, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. And when she said that to me, that was the day I decided I'm gonna take my time with this rebrand, because what we've created is no, there is nothing else.
Mhm.
So why am I rushing to the finish line? I've brought the company as far as I can, right? So it was time for me to reach out to help, to real help.
Mhm.
And that's what we kind of did. We talked to our mentor, and she has just been a guiding light, and things are happening, and we don't want to talk too soon, but yes, we're super super excited about what is about to happen with Reset. So know that even though we're not as active as we used to be on social media and doing all, it's like we are really really diligently working on perfecting the products, getting retail ready, and some other things.
I think it's hard, especially now that everybody is online and people are looking to buy things online. It's hard to find that balance of needing to be online and then taking that time, especially as a small business, especially as an entrepreneur, to take that time and really plan and manifest things. So I understand the struggle with that. I struggle with that all the time, like trying to be making sure people, the brand awareness, that I'm still putting myself out there, but I also need to recollect myself and manifest better ideas. And this retrograde, I've kind of been taking, I'm usually not like a Mercury retrograde person, but one of the ladies that I do business with, she was like, just kind of take this time to chill and manifest some things and not really be working yourself like you always do and multitasking. Just really focus on what it's going to look like when you do bring these things to life instead of juggling all those balls. So I applaud you guys for y'all still be doing, some little
Yeah, we
sprinkle of things,
try.
but so I have to ask then before you guys do drop it, what are each of your favorite products from Reset?
Mm,
On the edible side, I love the Arnold Palmer,
yeah, I'm a
the
good
sweet
chill
tea, the
guy.
sweet tea
Good
lemonade.
Arnold Palmer. So okay.
That's my, because I'm just a sweet tea girl, right? And my husband just makes great sweet tea, and so that's my favorite. Yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah, I'm a ginger honey lemon. I
Okay,
love
what's
ginger.
all the flavors?
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
just
so
Yeah,
the
I love
beverages
ginger.
come in four flavors. Ginger, honey, lemon, and you can drink that one hot or cold. So you can heat it up and drop a tea bag in it, and you're good to go. We have a blueberry lemonade. We have a
Arnold Palmer.
Arnold Palmer, and then we had a sorrel, but it's because it takes a lot to make it from scratch. We kind of discontinued it for
Sorrel.
now.
Sorrel. Yeah.
well, I
So
don't
Yeah.
know what it is.
Caribbean,
It's like a
it's a Caribbean.
Caribbean
It's a flower.
hibiscus,
It's similar to the
similar to
yeah, like a
hibiscus
hibiscus
flower.
flower.
Okay, okay,
It's
Yeah.
spicy. It's kind of popular more so in the winter times.
okay.
Um,
But it's from the Caribbean. So a lot of Caribbeans, a lot of Jamaicans, Trinidadians, they actually argue over who it
makes the
belongs
best.
to. Yeah.
I
And
no
I think
idea.
on the topical side, definitely the pain cream.
The pain
That's
cream.
our pain salve
And
is.
that's the one that's more popular with the elders.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and we package it in like a deodorant stick because it gives them, the ones that might not have anybody to help, it gives them a couple extra inches to reach those places. But yeah, it's like we stay sold out. I can't make enough.
You guys
So
ship across the US?
Mm-hmm.
yes,
Okay.
yep,
And I believe you can ship CBD anywhere.
yes, you can
Mm-hmm.
ship CDs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right. So you guys hear that? If you want to try cannabis products, CBD is non-psychoactive
yeah.
and it helps with pain. I'll let you guys go into the education piece, but I do think that there's a huge opportunity with our elders to kind of break them of that stigma of, oh, reefer, or I don't want none of that cannabis stuff, or because it actually does. It's so much better than the pharmaceutical stuff. I have never been big on taking meds. So I started smoking cannabis just as like my friends were smoking weed. I was a girl smoking weed. But
Mhm.
I noticed some kind of like you, I don't know if I intentionally had CBD or a different strain, but it made me feel much less anxious than I usually felt when I was consuming. And so I was like, oh, I like this feeling so much better. So, and that started my journey into actually educating myself about the many different types of cannabis strains and plants and flowers and benefits there are. So, if you guys could touch on some of the benefits of using CBD in general.
I would say my approach with people has been, what do you have to lose? Yeah, grandma and them been going to the doctor for
Mhm.
20 years, getting the same prescribed, the same medication. Ain't nothing changed. You
Mhm.
go in, you get your script filled out, you get your pain meds or your diabetes meds or high blood pressure pills or whatever the case may be. But it's just a real nonchalant approach with doctors and the African American community.
I
So when
agree.
I discovered CBD in the man, like I discovered cannabis as a teenager, you know what I mean, and used cannabis intentionally and recreationally.
Mhm.
But when I discovered that CBD hit different, I was
Mhm.
like, this is working. Something is going on inside of my body that's making me feel better. And like you said, it can help with anxiousness, it can help with pain and internal and external.
Inflammation.
So my approach, from an Tamika's more of an educator than I am. I will be more so, uh, let's see, try it and tell me what happens. Give it a week. And if it doesn't work or you don't find that it works, go back to doing whatever it is you've been doing that's not working. But let me get out your way because maybe we're not the match for each other. But if I can convince you to try it and you find out that it works, then I've done my job.
And I always tell people everything doesn't work for everybody. And this is not a cure. This is not a cure. We don't tell people to stop taking your medicine and take
Mhm.
CBD. It is not a cure all. You still have to go by whatever your doctor is saying, but don't be afraid to bring it up to your doctor.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people feel like they're going to get in trouble if they say, well, I need a medical card to bring it up because I don't want them to think we're. And I'm like, no, as your physicians, they have an obligation to tell you everything.
Mhm.
Now, whether their practice endorses cannabis or prescribes
Mhm.
cannabis, that's different. But they do have an obligation to talk to
Have a
you about it.
conversation.
And if they don't know, to refer you to somebody that can. I think a lot of our seniors, because they just need to be re-educated. They grew up in the, all the propaganda and the negativity. um my partner in business, my girlfriend Cece, she always says when people tell her, because she's a church girl, preacher's kid, when they tell her, well, weed is bad, she's like, well, who told you that? And they always, they can't even answer, because who is they? Who told you it was bad? Why do you think it's, and it sparks that conversation, and then we're able to let them know, like, no, this is something that is from the earth, and it's not a sin. I had a chat on Clubhouse, Christian ethics, and cannabis, and our pastor came on because I wanted people to be able to talk and ask the questions to
Does your
someone.
pastor also consume?
No,
Mm.
he doesn't.
Okay.
He
I
doesn't.
was in a
Mm.
room where a man was preaching about it, and I was like, if there was ever someone to convert Christians, it's this man. He was
So
preaching that.
I think we were in that room together. And
Okay.
there were two bishops in there that, and we'll talk offline about that too, because I have some thoughts about the difference in the two bishops that were in the room, because you got to be careful about that too. And it's not saying, one was better than it, but you can tell in the faith-based communities, yes, they're starting to convert over.
Yeah.
But what I'm noticing is it's money driven. So I could tell, we could tell the difference. We could tell when we were in that room. I know exactly what room you were talking about. But yeah, he doesn't but we wanted people to be able to ask, is it a sin? What does the Bible say about it? And had that open and honest, candid conversation. And now, my little church ladies, they trying to convince me to make a subscription box. They don't want to run out.
There's like a 13th century. Oh my God, I should have put it in the slideshow. But there's a 13th century, like this really old, like ancient painting of Jesus and what they believe to be a marijuana plant. And the picture through the years has been titled Jesus Heals the Blind. Um,
Hmm.
and it implies that he did so with a cannabis plant. And so that was my introduction to like, oh, okay, it is. It's natural,
It's
and it
true.
was demonized to demonize Black and brown
And
people.
criminalize, yeah.
That's the simple truth about it. And of course, it gets more convoluted.
Yeah,
And
they can't help that they're part of the propaganda era. Like it's not their fault.
yeah,
And then, so many things going on in the black community that we were targeted as. They just saw that as another target. So we
Mm.
can't really fault mama and them, you know what I mean, for their approach with us. But I remember having a conversation with my father at 16. He was just like, I don't get it. What is it about this thing? And I was like, listen, before I die, we'll be legal. And I'm not there yet. And here we are,
we are. It's
you know.
the beginning, but here we are.
But
But
here we are,
and
yes.
the way I looked at it, all the kids I was going to school with were going to be senators and judges and lawyers one day, and they would have grown up with it. So their approach to it would probably be a little bit different, when they get it in position to make decisions and form laws and stuff like that. So that's how I viewed it. Like the people that I was smoking cannabis with at 16 were going to be
The
future.
lawmakers.
Yeah, yeah. That's how I saw it. So that's
Mhm.
how I knew it would be legal. It actually came a little sooner than expected.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. I was giving it like 5 to 10 years, but I mean, here we are. Like the battle has been progressing for 10 years,
Mhm.
so yeah, it makes sense timing wise of the large amount of cannabis users.
Yes, and I feel like every year you look and it's like more people approve. Or I just think now it's just kind of like it's so widely accepted. It's like, come on now.
Just come on,
Mhm,
right? Come
Come
on.
mhm.
on now. And I think one thing that I found with my business is there, and I'm sure, like you all said, the education piece is what's really missing and undoing all of that propaganda and having those conversations. But in addition to that, um, I have found myself needing to understand legislation and being a lobbyist and having to advocate because I want to ask you all how it is there out in DC, but I know here, at least in Missouri, you already know how it is. A lot of rural farmers got a lot of the contracts or people who were already in good and had money and friends in high places. And most of those people are not Black or brown. Um, they are looking to legalize recreational cannabis in 2022. And there's three bills, I believe, and none of them mention anything about any type of
Equity.
programs or
Yeah.
like nothing. And so it's like, wow, like to see, and it's just like, why? It's so easy. And in having conversations with the people I've talked to in the industry here and understanding is so it's those um I understand why people are upset at companies just posting the black square because, okay, you posted your black square, but when it comes to hiring and listening to ideas from Black and brown people about how you can better serve our community, you're apprehensive or you don't want to listen, or you are, you know, the opportunities in the very small things and the small ways to help are there, but they're not being taken advantage of by people who believe themselves to be allies. And so we have to advocate and lobby for ourselves in these spaces. And for me, that's not something that growing up I thought I would ever be doing or into. I wasn't into politics, but here I am. So I could go on about that, but can you talk a little bit about what's going on in DC or how the industry is there?
Well, the good news for you is that by things just now kind of shaping up, you still have an opportunity to get involved. Same here in DC. We're not there yet. We might be a little bit more forward thinking with where we are, and it's really laxed as far as decriminalization is concerned, which was really the main issue here in DC. I can remember growing. I've seen people get locked up for a seed before, not crumbs or a nick or a small amount or a gram or something. I've seen people actually, an officer find a seed in your car and you could go to jail for that. So the past few administrations have been pretty good about being clear, and it was clogging the court systems
Mhm.
too. Marijuana offenses will actually, it is a disservice to keep locking people up for small crime because the amount of people it takes to run the court system, the bailiff,
Hey, are we paying for
sheriff,
We
we
paying for
paying for
all
all of
that.
that, you know. And the interesting, the ironic part is that for years in a lot of communities, in a lot of places, minor offenses will actually determine your budget, your police department's budget, the budget for law enforcement, the budget for your SWAT teams, and all of that, because they have to justify spending a certain amount of money for law enforcement. So they would use in places like New York, where they would use stop and frisk to stop, search, pop you right quick,
Mhm.
just to say, oh, well, all this crime is happening, and and for decades they weren't falsifying crime, but they were highlighting the kind of crimes that aren't really a crime.
Right.
It wasn't really a crime. Most people smoking weed, it's just that.
Chilling.
They not,
We not
you know
bothering
what I mean?
nobody.
There's actually a
In the Bible.
Right.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I think what we're seeing is a perfect storm of the propaganda that's taking place for the past 30 years, as
Mhm.
far as what are we what is crime? How are we looking at crime? What are we defining as crime? And does it make sense to have all these people logged in the system for minor offenses? So we have made some strides in as far as decriminalization and people just not going to jail for petty reasons. But the cannabis market here in DC is booming. Okay, like they keep saying this 50 billion dollars. I keep hearing the numbers $50 billion by
And
20.
DC alone.
No. As an industry,
Oh, I was
they
like,
refer.
I was about to say, you saw me.
I've heard the people refer to cannabis numbers as 50 billion by 2023, and I think that's a very low number, and I think that number is very very low. I think that the cannabis, I think what we're seeing right now is people positioning themselves to be billionaires. So you got to imagine that all of these people that are investing so heavily in cannabis, millions and millions of dollars, they're not in it to be multimillionaires. They want to be billionaires. They position themselves to be billionaires. And you mean to tell me only 50 of them got that plan? So only 50 of these guys are going to be billionaires? No way. No way. Not in this industry, not the way it's been around, not for as long and as many layers and facets as it is to it. There's no way only 50 of these guys plan on being billionaires. So you know if the money's going into it, that the money's going to come out of it sooner or later, like in one way or another. Before it's all said and done, you will see billionaires, cannabis billionaires.
yeah, I think, like you said, definitely sooner than later.
And
And
I would encourage people to really, get involved with the organizations in their communities that really have boots on ground, that are
Mm-hmm.
really doing the work in the social equity, in the social justice space
minorities
with
for medical marijuana.
um,
Mm-hmm.
Marijuana Matters.
Marijuana matters. Yep.
Check in to keep up with legalization. You can, we're a part of normal, so I get those emails and I read them every day. ASA, Americans for Safe Access, I get those emails, I read them every day because the laws are ever changing. And being in DC, I went to DCPS and I never really realized what lobbying is and how much access we really do to that we have to Congress. Like it wasn't until I got in the industry that I learned how to use my power in that way, and just being able to run up on them and be like, hey, this is what, I didn't know you could do that. Like I was blown
Like,
away
show me the ways. Please
yes,
show me the ways.
I was blown
No,
away when I
seriously.
participated
Yeah.
in my first lobby day, because I was like, this is
Yeah, I
what?
mean, as a voting American, see what I was gonna say to piggyback onto what Tamika was saying, we don't realize our own power, and that's why they always try to convince us that voting is not important.
Mhm.
Because by just being a natural born citizen, you have access to rights that what has happened is we don't learn about our rights, so
Mhm.
Mhm.
we don't exercise them. So what has happened, we don't participate in processes that are used for change,
Mhm.
which is why the generations before us were so bent
Adamant,
adamant
yeah.
about voting
Mhm.
and community activism, because that's where change starts. So what I would say to people is that the time really is now to get involved. There's so many great organizations out there, but really you can literally start. Look at Alexandria Asario Cortez.
Mhm.
She was bartending 3 years ago. She started going to uh, ANC meetings, neighborhood meetings. You move up to neighborhood council, then city council. You can run for mayor. It's so many levels in which you could penetrate government to have your voice heard.
Mhm.
And you can put a stop on some things too. If things are shaping up where you are, Missouri, that's shaping up to be unfair, you can say, wait, let's talk about it. You know, the but it takes grassroots organization and kind of even like you said, joining organizations, maybe
Mhm.
getting organizations to join together, being as part of as many organizations as you can that can see have an impact and making a difference. So really what it boils down to is exercising your power. Right now in DC, there's medical marijuana program for patients. There's a gray area, and then there's like straight up what we've known for years, and that's the black market. And they all exist,
Legacy market.
the legacy market. They all exist cohesively. They all exist on their own, void of any nobody's in nobody else's lane.
And
Everyone is in
well,
their lane.
would say so I feel like the propaganda now, which is even more frustrating, and I don't know if it's just me being outraged, but what I feel is that the propaganda now is to to the black market is already shunned, but there are people who, or in the legacy market, there are people who built things from the ground up. And we have those like what Freeway, Ricky Ross, there's a guy down in Atlanta. His name escapes me, but
I
people
know
who,
you talking
We
about the
know.
grower dude.
Mhm.
yeah, the people,
The
these people who have real roots in the community and who understand the industry and how it works. And I feel like there is a push to suppress that contribution, to use the culture, but to suppress the contribution. And because the black market still runs cannabis. So you said it's about to be a $50 billion industry. Imagine how much money is being made still on the streets that they feel like they're missing out on. And instead of helping these people um, transition into the legal market, which we all know
With
is
these
full of
barriers.
paperwork and all that stuff, instead of helping people transition, they are still finding ways to catch them up in the system.
so so you make a great point, because what I've noticed when it comes to the cannabis industry, this time we're not going for it. We've
Yeah.
seen it happen in sports. We've seen it happen
Not on
in
our watch.
entertainment. It's no different than entertainment when they put a bunch of funny contracts together that
Yeah.
basically tell you you're not making money on your own music, on your own tours, or whatever the case
Mhm.
maybe. We've been taken advantage of in every facet where we can be exploited.
Mhm.
And the beauty of the cannabis industry, there's enough of us involved that recognize your point, that see our contributions and things like that, and basically our things, we're not having it. If we got to go to Congress, we're going to Congress. If we got to shut the dispensaries down, we shut the dispensaries. Whatever we got to do, to make sure that it's inclusive this time, that conversation is on the forefront and it's being brought to the forefront of the people that are making the players that be, or whatever they are, gatekeepers or whatever you want to call them. that conversation is on their doorstep already.
Mhm.
Already. So your state might not be there, but that conversation is in play in a lot of places. Someone was just saying, um, Georgia, if you don't have your social equity in order, you might as well hang it up. You're not getting a license in
Right.
Georgia if you don't have your programs together. So it'll happen. Missouri may be one of those places. You know what I mean? Like,
And you just got to be involved.
yeah.
Jason just testified, at the ADC board had a hearing for cannabis delivery.
Mhm.
The legislation that was passed, emergency for the pandemic, there were barriers.
Mhm.
So we're
The
testifying to let them know, for people that had, maybe transportation companies or other delivery services, it kind of shuts us out if you have to be an employee of the dispensary to deliver. Like, we can't even bid. My husband has a transportation company. He can't bid for those contracts because there's so many barriers in the legislation to
even
keep
more,
them out.
but for her to understand that issue, you would have to know that um in DC, the medical marijuana program has gone from Department of Health and Human Services to
That's
the
what.
Alcohol and
Oh.
Regulatory and
Oh,
the Nightlife Commission. So that
wow.
helps to frame what what you said. But what
Yeah.
does that tell you? You know what I mean? That it's marketable, that
And
it's
they're trying to
going to be
funnel this
money
money.
involved. You know what I mean? Like, because anytime it goes, your parents are the health department to now the alcohol department and regulate, like,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Okay.
they it's so new, they're not prepared because, but at least they know to have inclusive conversations.
Yeah.
So at least it's a start. We're not. I don't feel like we're behind the eight ball on this one.
I love to hear it. And I'm definitely going to, I'm as involved as I can be, but there's definitely more work to be done, at least on my end. And I encourage everyone who consumes and who loves the plant to however you can, just like Tamika said, like joining newsletters or just get educating yourself about the
Or
industry.
if you don't want to be out on the front lines, donate to a
Donate,
nonprofit that
Yeah.
is,
donate.
because
Yeah.
they need all the resources they can get,
Mhm.
the
Yes.
stuff.
If you don't, yeah, if you don't donate your time,
If
donate
you
your
can't,
money.
like during the protests, I have little ones. I couldn't be out there. So we would, if I saw a friend post on Facebook that they were down there, we're like, what's your cash app? Let us buy you lunch. Or can we send some water? You need to send a driver down there with some cases of water, whatever we can do. Cause I couldn't be out there, but I wanted to still support. So, in DC, Marijuana Matters is definitely doing an amazing job with pushing forward with social equity and diversity and inclusion, and that was very important to me, and including that into our brand as we were building it. So you align yourself with organizations and other entrepreneurs that have the same moral standards that you have. So, and I met Khadijah, and it's just been an amazing mentor mentee situation for me. So I definitely also suggest get a good mentor, not a mentor that just want to check in with you, but
Yeah.
actually put you in rooms to show you different things and expose you, to what's going on in on the back end of in back office of these MSOs.
Yes, I've started working with, I don't know, the president for minorities for medical marijuana here, Marnay Madison. She's amazing. And I've started doing work with them and just aligning myself again with, I want Juana to, of course, still be a part of the education, but to also focus in on the transition piece from legacy to legal,
Yeah.
whatever that looks like. We in it, like you said, Buzz, we're not gonna take it.
We're not going
We're not
for
gonna.
it. I tell people all the time,
We're
one
not
of our
going for it.
barriers was, him not being able to put his name on paperwork, all this
Mhm.
craziness. So I'm like, okay, we'll put my name on it because by any means necessary, you're getting a piece of
Oh,
this
oh,
cannabis pie.
yeah, and just to frame it, to give it a different frame, so to speak. when they came up with the welfare program for people in the inner cities,
Mhm.
one of the conditions for the welfare program in the 70s is when they did it. One of the conditions for the welfare program is that there couldn't be a man in the house. So if men was caught living at home, you couldn't get your welfare check.
Mm.
So you putting people in a position to make decisions like, well, here the government giving me this money. He want to work. He want to get a job. He just got so many things stacked against him that he can't. And now the government is telling me he can't
Can't
be in
even
the
live
house.
here.
He can't even live here. My husband or baby daddy or whatever, my partner cannot live with me because I'm being subsidized by the American government. So if you use that framework, as far as seeing, you don't see the manipulation at the time.
Mhm.
And one of the things that we've learned over the years is that um, in this industry, it's so easy to. I'm one of the people that I'm at the point now. I respect the fight for medical programs and medical marijuana programs, but I think it's just a long way to the front door. I think it's just
Yeah, it's like they go for medical and then it's recreation. It's like they trying to warm people up and then
yeah,
they
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
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 yeah, for sure.
yeah. If this was sex, you gotta have foreplay first.
Mhm.
You know, so the medical cannabis talk is the foreplay, and it's warming people up for the bigger agenda, and that is legalizing marijuana on the federal level. And we all know that the federal government has dropped the ball in the past as far as what fighting crime looks like and what legalization, could look like and how it's destroyed and ravaged communities. And I think they're trying to make sure that this is another situation in which they're on the winning side of the coin financially and with the least amount
Mhm.
to lose. And we can see right through that. But the beauty of it is that we having conversations about it. We at least talking about. We're not just we calling BS
Yeah.
this time, and people like, all right, you got me. What do you want?
Ah,
You
okay,
yeah,
okay.
you got,
Yeah. I
yeah,
was
you
in a
got me.
clubhouse room with a guy, and it struck with me because, again, being in Missouri, and I consider myself a well-traveled person, but still, St. Louis is my everyday, and the people I'm around every day is still
My
into.
uncle's from East St. Louis. My uncle's from East St. Louis.
Okay, he right
Yeah,
across the
yeah,
bridge, and it's legal
went
there.
to
It's
SIU.
recreational is
Yeah,
legal there.
he was a
Uh,
Mhm.
Saluki.
but he said that if you are going to be in this industry, whether you're an ancillary business or not, you cannot be scared. And
Mhm.
I was like, I'm not scared anymore. I
Think
can't be
sweet, that's
scared
for
to
sure. It's,
I can't be scared to have conversations or talk about certain things or to stand up for myself. I think a lot of people in corporate positions or in other industries, when all this social justice stuff happened, were upset at themselves because you realize how compliant you were in the
White
man's
silence.
plan.
Mhm.
So I don't want to be compliant in the man's plan with cannabis because it's interfering with my well-being and my plan for generational wealth for my family. So I have to stand firm in it and not be scared and call people out. Like, like you said, we're not taking that. But I could go on talking to y'all all day. I love the wisdom, love the knowledge. But I do have a few questions. And they're mainly just about your partnership. But one of the questions is, do you all have other businesses, partners, or collaborators that you work with?
So we do have a business partner, my girlfriend, Cecilia. She's our
Hey.
director of operations, CC. That's my boo. But right now it's just us.
Well, we collab. I'm actually collabing behind the scenes with some other brands. One of the principles that we stand on is collaboration over competition.
Mhm.
So that's just how we are in real life. So it's manifesting through the businesses. So there's a couple of brands that I'm working with to see if I can be of a value add to what they do. Because like I said, the market here in DC is very robust. So there's a lot of opportunity just on a small scale. Small
Mhm.
collaborations can actually put some food on the
Be
table.
meaningful,
Yeah,
yeah.
for everybody.
Yeah,
And
and as far as collabs, I've done, we participate in these boxes that people do. They might ask for our products. We are definitely open to collab with really whoever.
mhm,
We're all about, like
as
he
long as it
said,
makes sense.
supporting, as long as our values are aligned with what you have going on with your brand. Then yeah, we welcome it. Will promote it.
Mhm.
um I definitely, you can go on my page. I'm constantly promoting other cannabis brands and,
Mhm.
even non-cannabis brands.
And that's
So,
part of my thought process about the large scale of what the industry is that we don't need a lot. You know what I mean? Like there's enough market share where you can be in a niche market of a niche market and still do six figures a year. I mean,
mhm.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the entrepreneur spirit is it's not that hard to be an entrepreneur in this day and age. With the
Especially in cannabis.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
yeah,
now. Whoa, whoa,
yeah.
whoa.
No, I'm just
Whoa,
saying with
whoa,
the
whoa.
it no, it isn't. It isn't.
Whoa,
No, I mean
whoa.
your work ethic has to match, but in the .com era, you don't have to. You can. I mean, come on, we got Instagram people on Instagram. Like Instagram is a way of life now.
Yeah,
Like
and so people make money just posting on
yeah,
social.
that's a segment of a segment. You know what I mean? Like Instagram hasn't even been out 10 years.
Hmm.
Yet you got people that's doing six figures to $1 million. Fashion Nova I mean, like they don't even got a brick and mortar nowhere in sight and do probably hundreds of millions of dollars every year. So to be an entrepreneur, it's different. It's not
Yeah,
what it
it's
used to be.
different.
Yeah,
I
it's
won't say it's easy,
I didn't say it was easy,
but
but it's
it
not that
is
hard.
different.
It's not that hard for me.
It's more competitive, I
I,
feel like.
I mean, you can get a website, you can get an Instagram and a product. You don't even have to have your own product. You can be reselling on Etsy. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
people making tens of thousands of dollars monthly selling ceramic mugs. So you know what I mean. It's all in
But
what
there's a lot that goes
it
into
is.
selling that
You
ceramic
got to do
mug.
the
So
work. You got
on
to
the
do the
outside,
work.
it might look like, oh yeah, that. But
You got to do the work. You better be the best ceramic mug seller.
because trust and believe, there's
Yeah,
100,000 other
It's
ceramic
there
mug
you go.
ceramic mugs.
But so, which leads to my point is that it's so much money out there. It's not hard to grab. It's how much you hanging on to and how much you putting back in your community.
Mhm.
Like I know several people, I know dozens of people, hundreds of people that are providing for their families from the legacy market from the 80s and 90s of this town. They are
Mhm.
feeding their hundreds of men and women that have figured out by the era we came up in with the hustler era, that go get it era, when none of this stuff was around, you will your
It's
success
it's
determined on how much time you put in on the block. That's how your success was determined. How much was you on the block from sun up to sundown, nights, weekends? That was how your level of success was determined when you were from the legacy market. And hundreds of people got in trouble from being in that way of life when all we were trying to do in the first place was provide. Ain't nobody really trying. A lot of people that's in the game is not don't know they can't retire from the game, but you can maintain. If you can figure out how to get in your little lane, you can maintain. And there's hundreds and hundreds of men and women in this town that have figured it out and are doing that.
Mhm.
The question is, how do you translate that for the next 25 to 30 years?
Make it sustainable.
Make it
Mhm.
sustainable. And I think that's part of why we need conversations like this
And collaborations.
and
That's part of the
collaborations. Yeah.
collaborations. You don't always have the money to rebrand, but maybe you can link up with a friend and say, your item does this. Can you make it specific to my brand? And
Hmm.
y'all can collab on that. I know I shared with you, it doesn't matter who gets to the table first, as long as we all eat. You know, in a story that I like to, or an example that I like to share about that is, you know, I was sharing with you about Sincerely Wilma's.
Mhm.
You know, I was introduced to her brand by a friend, ordered the pancake mix. It was amazing. So of course I blasted out to all my friends and my family, you know, and then my cousin, she's like a foodie and a blogger. She puts it in her foodie group. The next thing I know, the owner is calling me like, Tahmika, you don't understand. We almost had to shut down shop. And then I woke up this morning to almost 1,000 orders. Right. So
600.
as that story kind of started circulating, people were asking me, like, well, did she give you and your cousin something? And I said, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Mhm.
How does work?
That's not how this works. You know what I mean? Like, what y'all don't understand is my son only eats pancakes. I am a
There's
busy
more than
entrepreneur.
money
I'm
to do, I'm
I'm
sure.
busy. I don't have time to be in the kitchen every morning whipping up paint. That batter say so she did what she was supposed to do as an entrepreneur. She solved a problem for me, right? And the product was amazing. So guess what? I just got a delivery this week because she is a staple in our home now. So why wouldn't I want the rest of my community to know about her brand? You know, people like, but you're just starting your brand. I'm like, that
We don't make pancake batter.
I don't exactly.
It's
You know,
your
so why would I not want to see her thrive, you know, when I know my cousin loves pancakes and she's a foodie and she's definitely gonna, you know,
And none of this stuff was orchestrated,
it,
organized, planned. It's
very
everything.
organic.
Everything that we've been involved in, and everything that's happened to us, has been organic.
Mm-hmm.
Organic. I mean, this is you're looking at preordained plans. You know, from the man upstairs. We ain't got nothing to do with this. We just going along. We just doing what we feel is right.
Yes.
You know, so if something strikes us or a good product strikes us, then we talk about it. You know, I'm the king of reposts. I got more, just as much other people's stuff on my page as I
Yeah.
do my own stuff, because it's just about it. That like button is so free, and that repost
It's
button is
so free.
it's so
So
free.
free.
You ain't got to do nothing but just hit a little button and share information. And we can't be in a society where we guarding information. That's
Right.
the other thing we're saying about this entrepreneurial spirit in everybody. People are making money using the methods that these companies have used for decades, and they're figuring out, wait, I done made this man millions and millions of dollars. I can do this myself. And that's the other side of the coin that you're seeing from the entrepreneur aspect, is that it's attainable. It's, you know, marketing secrets aren't a secret anymore. Algorithms is not a secret anymore. SEO is not a secret anymore. You know, all these things that companies have used to their advantage to make sure that they're controlling, you know what I mean, the marketing and stuff is no longer a secret. That stuff is out there.
And I think the biggest secret that you guys talked about is the power of community, and society has beaten into us. Part of the propaganda has been um, teaching people to put the individual first, and in many respects the individual does, you have to be one with yourself in order to be a part of a community and to be a part of any type of partnership. But society puts so much emphasis on the self, and so that's why you have people that when y'all are reposting or sharing other people's work, regardless of how your business is going, you have the people that are like, well, why would you, put them on? Did y'all get something from
Mm-hmm,
that? And
mm-hmm,
that's the wrong mentality to have
mm-hmm,
about that sort of thing. And Tahmika and I spoke before we started the recording. Um, you know, we don't we underestimate the value of our dollars so much. And it's not even about, I mean, of course, at this present moment, because this is a moment and a movement, it is about the Black dollar, but just
mm-hmm,
even supporting things that you like. Like if you are totally against homophobia, why would you be eating at Chick-fil-A? If
mm-hmm.
you are totally against just being we owe it to ourselves to be more educated consumers. And I think a part of that is understanding who we're supporting and understanding that our the value that we added to this world monetarily is energy. So where
Mm,
energy flows, goes, energy flows. And so what are you putting your money, energy into? What are you supporting? And if it's not the community, then of course there's going to be a disconnect. So the fact that you guys do that naturally, it's karmic in a way, it's just you're going to be taken care of because you take care of the community. Instead of me sometimes throwing my food away, this is so country. That's the people Bama of me, but I throw my food outside. I want the animals to eat. It gets really deep, but it's and I feel like when I started doing that, I started getting blessings in other ways for helping take care of God's animals because we're all here and we are supposed to coexist with one another, and that includes financially. Um, but okay, I'm sorry, people. I'm getting to y'all questions because I
I
know
know it's
y'all
cool to
kids
move
gotta
into
go. What the last two questions, one, what's next for you guys as a couple and then individually? And then the second question is, what national organizations do you recommend people donate to?
Well, I'll start with that question first. And, this might be a little biased, but it is what it is. But Marijuana Matters in Washington, D.C., they work to repair the hurt and the harm that has been done due to the war on drugs. So diversity and inclusion is very, very priority with this organization, right? And they're a new organization, but they're making such powerful moves in the industry with their social equity toolkit, where they're really charging the heads of these large companies to learn about diversity and inclusion. Like you said, it's not good enough to just throw up that black square.
Mm-hmm.
and I,
It was cute, but
yeah,
now what? Because that board is still not
mhm.
diverse. You're still making these marketing mistakes that keep, getting everybody canceled. So, you know,
That's to fill in. That's actually part of our story. And we we're putting that information out there because it's for everybody. We've been fortunate and truly blessed with the connections that we've been able to make, and they've been for us.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you can't pull people with you, but if you get over the wall, you can throw the rope back over.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to carry people as you go because you're carrying weight that is not meant for your shoulders. But I think I can truly say that as a result of the people that we've been aligned with, that it will be beneficial for those around us. Marijuana Matters is near and dear to us, because of what the story is and what they're fighting for. And they are the reason that, like I said, this conversation is on the plates of some of these execs because it has to be had. So we try to back, and align ourselves with people that we know on the front line. I don't want to try to name everybody
Mm-hmm.
because there are a lot of people that we touch with, on a regular basis that are doing great work.
yeah, so I could definitely send a list over to you and maybe
Mhm.
you could send it out to your listeners or your
Yeah.
followers,
Oh my
post it on
God.
post. But
Well, I'll put it in the Black History newsletter that I
yeah,
sent out.
Mhm.
yeah,
And
we
send
can
me y'all's well, if you have where people can order drinks, if you have a site where
oh,
we can
yes, we'll
subscribe or anything like
definitely.
Yeah, you can grab anything from the resetwellnessgroup.com.
that. Okay.
That's our e-commerce page.
Wellnessgroup.com.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
as
then I
far
I think what was next? The
as
what's
far as
next
what's
for the
next, yeah.
brand?
Yeah, what's next for you guys for the brand and then individually? Do you guys have any individual ventures?
Um, for reset, like I said, we're in a rebranding, and I need people to understand the rebranding is more than just a logo and changing colors and things. We are like starting pretty much from the ground up, redefining and just reformulating and getting. I want Black people to normalize luxury as well. So luxury cannabis, that is we know our lane, we know our demographic, the people that we're serving, because we've been doing this for 2 years now. Now we know what they want, and we want to make sure that we deliver that. So I'm just really excited. And like I said, we can't say too much,
Right.
but I'm definitely excited about the direction that Reset is going in. I married my weed man. It's just happening organically. We are just kind of going with the flow and linking up with people that, like you, that are so gracious to offer their platforms after hearing us speak on Clubhouse. I don't know. Like, I think after last night's chat, I kind of have an idea of the direction I want to take the brand. I don't know if hubby is going to really be too much on board, but we'll see. He might surprise me.
Looking like I don't want to give no indicators. So
He's like, oh
I
Lord.
know what's going on here.
I'm just, we'll see what the numbers, how the numbers come back.
But yeah, we're just we've had a lot of offers, people that have offered to help, and we're still kind of combing through invitations to appear on podcasts and have magazine articles written, and just we're just kind of enjoying this ride and letting God lead it to where it needs to go. Because like I said, like, once again, we're in a place where this wasn't planned to go like this. We never thought our story would be so impactful. And I don't take that lightly. So I don't know. And then personally, what's next for me? I am just kind of on this wellness journey. Reset definitely made me um, do some self-reflecting, and I'm working with a wellness coach, and I'm in therapy, and I'm more intentional with my cannabis use, and I'm talking to people that might know a little more than me, and I'm trying to just heal a lot of traumas and break some generational curses, and just be authentically Meeks. I finally came out of the cannabis closet to my family, and had to have those, as my partner says, courageous conversations. I had to sit down with them and say, I married my weed man, and we're in cannabis, and I love the plant, and this is what it does for me. And and having that with my family, and them embracing it, and then being able to say publicly that I'm a canna mom. And yes, I do talk to my kids about cannabis. They are in the home with us. They see the biz. My daughter helps put the labels on. This is a 2-person operation. So she's our VP of labeling. That's what I call her. Come put these labels on, girl, because sometimes, some days it gets hectic.
And she's going to
So
have that. She's going to, even they seem so minor, but I didn't have someone to show me how to start a business from scratch. And your kids are going to have that. And it's so beautiful. And I'm sure your families, from what you guys contribute to the community with through cannabis, I'm sure your families understand. But even if they don't, when the money, they say, I'm sure they
yeah,
see
right.
the money. I'm sure
You
they
already know. You already know. And what's next for you? What you got going on, Bubba?
I like the way you said, Bubba, what you got going on?
Because I never know with him. People think it's really me with the shenanigans. Let this be exclusive. This is the exclusive. It don't really be me, y'all. It really be him. I'm just the one that brings it to the group, like, hey, let's do.
He
But
does seem more chill. You seem way more outgoing.
For me, I'm actually thankful for the pandemic and the extended time out. It's really put things into focus for me, because the way that I thought I was going to be able to achieve and attain my goals is not the way that it's happening. And I'm kind of thankful for that. I've had direct messages from God where people just kind of told me to be still, fall back, and collect when it's time to collect. You got to understand, coming from the legacy market, and pivoting and transitioning, um, you already been in for 25. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
he like, look, I'm with this entry level.
You're the CEO. You're the CEO.
Yes.
Yeah. So I just gotta make sure that my moves align with that. Like you said, you made a great point when you said, like, our value, when you come from such a strong background, your value has to matter.
Mhm.
And and I've been able to navigate my way into rooms in which it matters. I remember 2 years ago, these young ladies that had the first CBD store in Washington D.C. They asked me then. They were like, "Well, what is your goal this year?" And I told them, "I just want to be in better rooms with better people." And I did that year, and every year after, and that's what's made the difference. Me being able to kind of get outside of my own comfort zone and get outside the box with how you think and the people that you can land yourself around really makes a difference. You know, I've literally just showed up places with my lemon. I was just doing lemonade at the time, and I've given people lemonade, and they're like, "Oh my God, what is this?" You know, and I'm like, "It's something I came up with." And not even that I came up with. I made a better mousetrap.
Right.
I'm not the first guy to do infused beverages by no means. I just did it in the manner that I did it in that worked for me, and it spread. So that's really the only coattails that I'm riding is my own. But for me, I say I'm thankful for the quarantine because I just want to be better daily. That's kind of what's next for me is making tomorrow better than today was. So if I missed the gym today, I try to get there tomorrow. If I miss cooking breakfast for my family today, I try to do that tomorrow. You know, and just fill in the blanks for the things that go missing all the time. That's
I
it.
love that. And with that, for me, it's definitely it. I've learned that as well to just do better the next day and to be more disciplined, but to give myself more grace.
I was just about to say he tells me that all the time because I'm so hard on myself. And he's like, Tamika, you have to give yourself grace. You
Yes.
know, give yourself grace, especially when it comes to motherhood.
Mhm.
Because I'm really, I've been really hard on myself during this quarantine. It's just been a lot, having an 8-year old and a 3-year old. And sometimes I'm just like, am I failing them? It just, you start having those thoughts like, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? Because some of these days I'm a solo entrepreneur.
Mhm.
I don't have a 9 to 5. My husband does work a 9 to 5. I think that was one of the questions too.
Mhm.
So he does work as an environmental engineer, and I resigned to do this full time. So some days it's very scary for me, and I am trying to build the business, and I might be having a frustrating day, and sometimes that might get taken out on the kids, and then I'm like,
Or your husband.
or my husband, most times him, um or I just don't have the patience at the end of the day because I'm so worn out, or I don't want to talk because I've been talking all
Yeah.
day, and like this one, as you can see, here he come back.
I have your attention to that. Who? What is going on? We about to wrap it up. I promise.
Uh-oh, you smell. Oh Lord, I don't know what I'm about to go upstairs to. But yeah, so it's those moments, and he's always like, give yourself grace.
Yes. And as a woman with no children and no husband, I just live alone with my thoughts. I applaud anyone who is a mother. You have two children, you have a business, which is also like a child. You are a wife. You are in business with your husband. So definitely, ma'am, give yourself some
Listen,
grace.
that's a whole
Okay.
nother podcast by itself.
Yes. It's a whole nother podcast. And I think, and not to say, I mean, I have my everyday struggle, no struggle competition or whatever, but
Right,
definitely give yourself grace because you have so much going on around you all the time and you're still doing more for the community than most other people do. Just and not even, something that you all brag about. It's a way of life, it's
yeah,
not,
it's the
I think it's great
lifestyle.
that it's a trend to whatever, but it's a way of life.
And I think that's why our consumer base and our community love us, right? Because they know it's authentic. They know what we do comes from the heart. They know my husband is just a solid stand-up guy. They know we've built this on integrity. So they trust us. and there's been times when, like he said, like we've given away probably just as much product as we have sold. And I know we got to stop doing that, but sometimes I'm just like, but babe, there's other ways we can get it, like we'll figure it out. But this has been amazing. Like, thank you
Yeah,
for
appreciate it.
inviting us. It's been an
Thank you
awesome
guys.
conversation.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it.
We're still so humbled by all of the attention that
Mhm.
we've gotten from this.
That's a big takeaway. I'm on camera these days.
Yeah,
Like
he
I don't.
don't do this. Like,
Well, thank you. And you're my first male guest. So
Oh
thank
wow,
oh
yeah, thank
wow.
you, thank you.
I loved it.
He's like, no pictures, no, but he's starting
Mhm.
to come out. I'm like, babe, this is your industry. Like, people want to know you. And
You have the experience. You are, I know we talked about, I ain't trying to put you out there, but you're the elder. Like
yes,
so you have the knowledge, you have
they
the
don't call
experience.
it legacy
Nah,
for nothing,
everybody do call me OG. Like they really do. But
Mhm.
no, I'm thankful for you're having us on the platform. I do value these conversations, and I guess having them recorded as well, because it also gives me timeline, and you know how they say you can always remember where you were when you heard your favorite song, like
Mhm,
when you
mhm.
heard a song for the first time that you really like. You remember where you were, and with you know having this kind of dialogue, I just hope to help somebody. For years, I dabbled in music, and my approach was that, if I could make dope enough music, I could get enough people to listen, I could command a room, and then I could have their attention and drop some jewels on them in the process. Yeah, but that was a long road, and
Yeah.
this is much more direct. At the end of the day, if we're just able to help one person, then in a day's time, then it's kind of all worth it for me.
Well, we have answered all of your questions. My spirit is full.
Mine is
Yeah, me too.
too.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
over here
Thank
like,
you.
Thank you guys so much for lending me your time. I really appreciate it. I dropped their website in the chat. So if you guys want to check that out, I'll also have them in my newsletter coming out next week. Um,
yes, and we're on all social media platforms. Reset Wellness underscore DC is our Instagram. We're on Clubhouse at Bub and Meeks with the S. Um, yeah, and then
The
the
Reset
website,
Wellness Group.
yeah, the resetwellnessgroup.com. That's how you can reach us.
Mm.
okay, I put their Instagram in there too, guys. Reset Wellness DC underscore.
Oh, and then for Weedman, it's I Married My Weedman on Instagram.
All right. Well, that's all we got, y'all. We ain't got no more. Have a good night. If you got access to some CBD, smoke your little CBD joint before you go to sleep.
Right.
I'm not even
Get
gonna
you some
tell her.
good sleep. Get
I'm
you
not
some
even gonna
good
tell her.
sleep.
Yeah,
Bye, you guys.
All right.
I
Thank
appreciate it.
you.